Content Introduction. Q. How to run a script-killing shop. Jiang Qi. Simple. You just need to have a script-killing shop first, and then let the characters in the script-killing come out to be your DM, script-killing host, and you can run a script-killing shop correctly. At first, Jiang Qi thought he was playing a business card game and his store was a script-killing store. Later he discovered that it was actually a restaurant. A large amusement park with restaurants. A shopping center with amusement facilities and restaurants. A resort with shopping center rides and restaurants. Jiang Qi. Do anyone remember that I actually opened a script-killing shop? Game Guide. 1. This game is a card game, and there will be no punishment for failed missions. Players are advised to focus on cards, with missions as a supplement, and strive to collect cards. 2. The highest card can be upgraded to 3 stars. Players are advised to work hard to upgrade their cards. 3. This game has extremely high degrees of freedom, players are advised to explore on their own. 4. All interpretation rights belong to the game. Chapter 1. Xinghe Script Society. You are listening at novel full.audio. Go straight, turn right at the end of the road, and then reach your destination. GPS continues to guide you. The GPS signal is weak. You have arrived at your destination. The last sentence is not a voice, it is a floating text in the air. Star River Script Society. Jiang Qi looked at the destination at the end of the road with an uncontrollable crack in his expression. He knew that his sister was never reliable. This script-killing shop, hidden in the alleys of the old city, has GPS signals that are occasionally abnormal and cannot be found even by following the navigation. It is the script-killing shop that his sister Jiang Binko has invested a huge amount of money to open in the bustling street market, central urban area, and CBD areas, which is a promising future. Jiang Qi didn't see high-rise buildings and busy streets, but only breakfast shops, halal beef ramen noodles shops, stir-fried fast food restaurants, Hunan rice noodles shops, spicy hot pot shops, string shops, bakeries, fruit stalls, rice noodles shops in Mianyang and numerous fly restaurants with signs that can't read clearly. This is just a street full of snacks and takeout in the old city area, okay? If it weren't for a system that had no function other than pointing the way, Jiang Qi would have been exhausted and unable to find his destination. Just as Jiang Qi was standing outside the store, suspecting his life, his sister Jiang Bing happened to make a phone call. Hello. Jiang Qi, haven't you been to my store? Is the navigation correct? I've arrived, but this place seems a bit different from what you told me yesterday. Once I arrive, it's good. I have already arrived at the airport and there is still half an hour left for boarding. I have another phone call to make later, so let's make a long story short. This store has cost your sister and me a lot of effort. As you know, I have opened 12 stores before and have rich experience in opening them. I also have high hopes for this store. If I don't have to go out for 6 months due to some urgent matters, I really don't want to leave. Coincidentally, you just graduated and didn't have a plan for what to do. First, help me look at the store for half a year. Anyway, you're also good at this. Didn't your parents always say you stay at home every day, don't go out, and don't make friends? Opening a script-killing store is beneficial for socializing. Coincidentally, you just graduated and didn't find a job or a source of income, so my sister won't let you waste your time looking at the store. In the past few months, if the store is profitable, you can keep it as pocket money. If you really like it, my sister will give it to you, and I'll open a branch in another place. I will push the landlord's WeChat to you now. If there are any problems with the house, just tell him. The rent is paid every 6 months, and there are still 4 months left. Don't feel pressured, work hard. I remember what you said last night seemed to be. Oh, I'm on the phone from here. Hang up first. If you need anything, please contact me on WeChat. Didi, Didi. Didi. Jiang Qi. Isn't there half an hour left for boarding? Silently looking up at the Star River Script Society sandwiched between Wang Ji Bakery and Tian Tian fried skewers, Jiang Qi let out a long sigh and silently clicked on the exclamation mark that had been floating in the upper right corner of his field of view, opening the system panel. Starting from the first time Jiang Bing fooled her into looking at a store during the summer vacation of her third year of high school, Jiang Qi got a system that he didn't know was useful for. Player name. Jiang Qi. Age. 23. Occupation. Freelance owned stores. Milk tea shop, closed, fried chicken shop, closed, string shop, closed, flower shop, closed, childcare institution, closed, snack shop, closed, convenience shop, closed, script killing store, currently being located, not yet confirmed. This system was activated by Jiang Qi when she was tricked by Jiang Bing into visiting her soon-to-be-closed milk tea shop, working as a black laborer, and stepped into the door of the milk tea shop. Apart from being able to help Jiang Qi locate the shop he owns, it has no other functions. The system panel is extremely simple, with only text and no graphics. The text is all in song typeface, and it can be seen that this game did not hire an artist. Jiang Qi has been in the system for 4 years, and this 3-no semi-finished product system has not changed at all. Apart from Jiang Qi helping Jiang Bing take over one more store and having one more store in the store ownership column, there has been no update. It is true that the counterfeit and inferior system is genuine. Hello, may I ask if you are Jiang Qi, the younger brother of Mr. Jiang Bing? Just as Jiang Qi silently cursed his 3-no system in his heart, a crisp female voice interrupted his thoughts. A girl with half-thick but not light makeup, eye black obviously brushed on her eyelids and the corners of her eyes were black, and a pretty girl appeared behind Jiang Qi at some time. Are you? I'm a summer part-time job at your sister's store. My name is Lu Lon, and you can call me Lon Lon, little boss. Lu Lon smiled and said, just now, Sister Bing called me and told me that you arrived at the store entrance. I waited for 2 minutes in the store and found that you came out to look for it before you even arrived. Our store is not here, on the other side, and the sign is not very clear and the navigation is not accurate. I guess you probably didn't find it, so I came out to pick you up. Sure enough, it's a part-time job. Ms. Jiang Bing, who has engraved money savings in her DNA, likes to hire cheap college students for part-time jobs. Jiang Qi used to say that part-time jobs are cheaper than ordinary college students. He only draws pancakes without giving money, and when necessary, he has to pay back. Jiang Qi quickly closed the system panel while Lu Lon turned around and nodded, saying, thank you, it's quite difficult to find. Glancing at his phone, Jiang Qi confirmed that today is only June 17th, and even college students usually don't have a vacation at this time. He couldn't help but say, your school has an early holiday, it's not even July yet. My home lives near here, and I study broadcasting and hosting. I attend a normal school here, which is very convenient for work. The school hasn't closed yet, but there are no classes left. During the summer vacation, I can come every day, and as long as there are no classes, I can come over. Previously, Sister Bing set me a summer salary of 1,000 plus commission and 4 days off per month. Currently, there is only one DM, script killing host, in the store, and there is also a part-time job that can only come back next week. I hope the little boss can take care of me more. Lu Lon is quite familiar with the restaurant owners around. When she passed the noodle shop, she shouted at the boss. Boss, don't forget to send a bowl of beef lammy and noodles at night. Add more onions instead of coriander. What is your usual base salary? Jiang Qi asked. Usually. I don't have a basic salary, I only get a commission. Lu Lon didn't think there was anything wrong, Sister Bing is such a nice person. She said that I don't have classes now and there's no difference between summer work and summer work. She started calculating my summer work salary from the day before yesterday. Jiang Qi looked at the worker in front of him who had already been exploited by capitalists before entering society. If he remembers correctly, Jiang Bing told him last night that the operating hours of the script killing shop are from 2 p.m. to evening every day, and there is no ceiling. I can only say, sister, it's truly you. As Ms. Jiang Bing's only biological younger brother, Jiang Qi knows his capitalist sister very well. Graduated from a well-known art institute, mainly working as an illustrator, with a secondary job being opening a store. From my freshman year to now, I have opened 12 stores, big and small, ranging from milk tea shops, fried chicken shops, skewer shops to printing shops, clothing stores, flower shops, with a wide range and a wide variety of products. It's hard to help but marvel at how much money burns. The common feature of these stores is their short lifespan and low cost, ranging from 1 week to 1 year. The first store opened by Jiang Bing was a stationery store, which was opened 7 years ago when Jiang Qi was still in high school. The stationery store was located on Shui Street and used Jiang Qi's own storefront, so there was no rent. It only opened for a week before closing, and Jiang Qi has not used up any unused stationery left. At that time, Jiang Qi thought his sister would see reality clearly and realize that she was not good at doing business, so he turned the tide. Unexpectedly, Ms. Jiang Bing became more courageous and suffered more losses as she struggled. She used the money from her main business to support her side business, truly achieving a clean slate and empty pockets. This is not the first time Jiang Qi has helped his sister take over a mess. As an unemployed and idle person who has just graduated from college and failed the postgraduate entrance examination, struggling with World War II and job hunting, Jiang Qi has nothing more than more time. Starting from the summer vacation of his 3rd year of high school, he helped Jiang Bing take over, as a freelance worker, several shops that were about to close during various long vacations. He was proficient in various snack-making techniques and ways to close the shops, and accumulated rich work experience at a young age. It can be seen that Ms. Jiang Bing has not learned anything about the ability of capitalists to make money in recent years, but has learned 10% about the ability of capitalists to squeeze employees. Given that Jiang Qi already has a useless system, he has reason to suspect that Jiang Bing has a system where opening a store and closing it can make money. Otherwise, it is difficult to understand why she is so enthusiastic about opening a store even after closing so many different stores. The more you open it, the bigger it gets, and the more expensive it becomes. Jiang Qi followed Lu Lan into the store. The first floor decoration is pretty good, and what catches your eye are the front desk and bar counter. Behind the front desk are 2 huge wooden bookshelves, with hundreds of books visible. The remaining space of the bookshelf is filled with a few exquisite small ornaments. On the bar, there were 2 figurines that Jiang Qi didn't recognize, several textured glass cups, and a glass of juice that had only been consumed halfway. There is not too much decoration on the first floor. The sofa and tea table set for meeting guests, the freezer in the corner, the light green wallpaper, the chandelier slightly different from the wallpaper, the chlorophytum comosum beside the window, the fitting mirror standing by the wall, and the star lights hanging along the window have good lighting in the room. The overall feeling is bright and generous. It's much better than Jiang Qi imagined, and it's clear that Jiang Bing has put in some effort in the decoration, much stronger than those shops that were previously decorated with layered wallpaper. I's sister said that you haven't played script killing before, little boss. Let me take a look at the store with you during this period of time. Next Monday night, a car of customers made an exclusive appointment with I's sister, which she just bought last week. It arrived yesterday and I have already finished eating it. I needed a male DM to perform that part, and I originally wanted to delete it. Coincidentally, little boss, you're here. Why don't you watch that part now and let's work together to see if you can perform it. You don't need to call me little boss, just call me Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi doesn't have much aversion to playing roles. He works in a drama club in college and doesn't have many opportunities to act as a character. Most of the time, he only plays flowers, plants, and stones on the roadside. Jiang Qi had never been exposed to script killing before, and all his understanding of script killing came from Jiang Bing's emergency store manager training last night. There are 3 types of scripts based on price: boxed, city limited, and exclusive. The books on this shelf are mostly in regular boxes with no purchase restrictions. How many books do you want to buy? The city limit is generally one city with 3 limits, and a few divine beings may engage in the act of one city with 12 limits. Urban restrictions are usually imposed in large cities, with small areas being chosen randomly, and Xuanshi, where Jiang Qi is located, is the latter. Exclusive, as the name suggests, this is the only one. DM is the host who guides players in the script-killing game, with different character books in each script. Each character has their own story and mission, and the stories of all people are connected together to form the entire content of the script. After receiving the script, players need to play the characters they have obtained. There are many types of scripts, roughly divided into 4 categories: mystery, emotion, joy, and horror. As a fan of detective novels and criminal investigation dramas, Jiang Bing's script-killing store naturally focuses on detective novels. The proportion of reasoning books has reached an astonishing 80%, with the remaining 20% being all joy books and no emotion or horror books. Opening a store so recklessly is not without reason that this store is on the brink of bankruptcy. Jiang Qi looked at the books on the shelf, matching them with what Jiang Bing had told him last night. Looking at them, he saw a book that Jiang Bing had not mentioned. Mask Club. The black cover is inconspicuous in a group of dark-colored books. What book is that? Chapter 2. Character Book, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Which one? Lu Lan walked over and looked in the direction pointed by Jiang Qi, accurately locking onto Mask Club. This is what I just said about exclusivity. Lu Lan took the book off the shelf. Put it in front of Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi picked up the box, opened it, and counted it. Inside were 6 character books, a host's manual, and 2 stacks of clue cards. Jiang Qi flipped through the top 2 pages of the character book. The paper was quite good, and the texture was also good, with a unique ink smell of a new book. The cover is a bit ugly, with a silhouette of a man on the almost pure black cover, with 9 large characters in song typeface next to the silhouette. A silent black-haired man. Jiang Qi continued to flip back, and the covers of each book were similar, with blurry silhouettes on top, with front and side. The host's manual showed 6 people together in silhouettes, each wearing a mask, like a group photo. This is an emotional book, Lu Lan said. Emotional notebook. Now an exclusive emotional book is already in front of him. Oh, dear sister. Bing Jie said this book didn't cost any money, and she said it was a promotional trial. I'm not sure what exactly happened. Lu Lan pointed to the distribution column on the box and said, it should be an exclusive book from a newly released studio. I couldn't find this studio online. However, the quality of the book is still good. Jiang Qi, if you have time now, you can take a look and we'll need your help with the interpretation. Fortunately, with you, the performance of this book must have a man. If we remove the performance of this book, it will be boring. Jiang Qi looked down at the place pointed out by Lu Lan, and both the publisher and author's names were squeezed in the corner, with small characters as if afraid of being seen. Produced by Card Game Studio. Mr. X is writing. It doesn't look like a serious studio by its name. Jiang Qi is not very interested in reading books, and the system has not yet prompted him to activate his store. Based on his years of experience, the way to activate his store is to go around the store. I haven't gone to the 2nd floor yet. Are there all open rooms upstairs? Jiang Qi asked. Lu Lan nodded and said, yes, there are 5 open rooms, and the restroom is also upstairs. Let me take you up there. No need. Jiang Qi stopped Lu Lan, I'll just go and take a look myself. After speaking, Jiang Qi went upstairs. After Jiang Qi went upstairs, he found that the area of the second floor was much larger than that of the first floor. It seems that the sum of the upper and lower floors may be nearly 400 square meters. There are a total of 7 rooms on the second floor, including 1 Japanese-style room, 1 European-style room, 2 modern rooms, 1 antique-style room, 1 miscellaneous room, and 1 changing room. After Jiang Qi finished reading all the toilets in the corner, the script killing shop in the system panel became open. No other new things have emerged either. Jiang Qi returned to the first floor, and Lu Lan was sitting at the front desk speaking to his friends. It sounded like he was talking about a dragon and lion dance exam, but Jiang Qi looked bewildered. Lu Lan was speaking with great enthusiasm, and Jiang Qi didn't want to disturb her. Instead, he took the box and sat on the sofa, reading a book. Jiang Qi picked up the first book and carefully examined the silhouette on the cover. A silent black-haired man. Jiang Qi opened the first page. Your name is John, and you are from country Y. You have been living in a deformed family since childhood, with a crazy mother, a quirky father, and much older siblings. Such a family has given you the silent and reserved personality you have today. Almost every morning of childhood, what wakes you up is not the alarm clock by the bed, but the mother's piercing screams and burst into tears in a daze. Jiang Qi seemed to hear a sharp female voice. Fuck off. You son of bitch, get out of my house, I don't wanna see you again. The high roar, rude knocking of the door, and deep crying startled Jiang Qi, causing him to suddenly look up and find that there was no one around him. The store door was tightly closed as before, and Lu Lan was staring at his phone without saying anything. Lan, did you hear anything? Jiang Qi asked loudly. Voice. Lu Lan was a bit confused. No, did I just make a voice call to disturb you? I'm sorry. No sound. Jiang Qi lowered his head and glanced at Ben again. Is it because he was too engrossed in reading Ben? Not so bad, right? Jiang Qi scratched his head and continued to look down. There are almost no complete utensils at home, and neither glass nor ceramic products can be kept intact for 2 days. Your mother is only responsible for hysterically smashing everything she can see every day, and then leaving the wreckage for your young age to clean up. And all you can do is say hello to your mother every morning in a messy home, and go to the kitchen alone to find food that can still be eaten. You have 3 older brothers and sisters, all of whom have fled this twisted family. Only the older sister Sunny occasionally comes back and is scolded and kicked out of the house by her mother. You have no way of knowing how this divorced couple, who hate each other, once loved each other, and you cannot imagine that your mother was a well-known poor beauty when she was young. Almost every day, you can hear a drunken mother loudly cursing her father, cursing him for ruining her life, cursing him as a fraud and a scoundrel. She always sat on the ground looking haggard, with hair that had lost its luster and looked like a clump of dry grass. She pounded the walls with scars and holes without any image, leaving herself covered in tomato sauce and mayonnaise. She occasionally let out sharp screams to provoke the anger of her neighbors. Mad woman Laura, everyone calls her that. Compared to a mother who is mentally unstable, alcoholics all year round, and can only rely on government relief funds and support payments from your father is barely considered a normal person. His financial situation is not very good and he often cannot pay his child support on time. Whenever your father is unable to pay the child support, your mother will run to his house and shout loudly. Every time, she will provoke neighboring neighbors to call the police before giving up. Then, she will throw you away like garbage to your father until he pays the child support before claiming it back. You feel like a rag, you can pick it up and use it when you need it, and you can throw it away when you don't need it. Anyway, no one picked it up, just pick it up when you need it again. You have long been accustomed to this kind of life, but in fact, you prefer to live with your father. Although you don't think he likes you, he is at least a normal person and occasionally willing to play the role of a father, allowing you to feel the normal parent-child relationship in a family. The neighborhood where your father lives is a famous wealthy neighborhood in the area, which is completely different from your home. The environment is beautiful, the streets are clean and spotless, and each house has been carefully painted. The garden is planted with carefully cultivated vegetation from each family, and there are even police patrols at night. There is no crying or shouting in this neighborhood, no suspicious needles in the corners, and no empty wine bottles casually discarded on the road. It is the most dreamy place for you when you were a child. But your father's house is out of place with this neighborhood. He's like a homeless man who accidentally enters this place and doesn't want to leave. He lives in a narrow cabin of only 30 square meters, and even has to go to the free public restroom 2 blocks away to use it. In order to live here, your father has to clean the entire street every morning and night. He can choose a more relaxed job, but only this job can make him live in this block. Until today, you still don't understand what made your father so stubborn about living in a wealthy neighborhood. He just lives here, without a big house facing south, no garden, and even no kitchen and toilet. He can only live in a small house that is like a garbage dump every day, eating cheap and convenient food. Do you think your father may like the environment here, just like you, Jiang Qi? What kind of ghost likes the environment here? Chapter 3. Character Book, Middle. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Except for work, your father spends the rest of his time at home doing nothing, just quietly reading some books that you completely don't understand. You know, those books are related to engineering, and you also know that your father graduated from a prestigious university with a major in engineering. But he never does any work related to engineering. He would rather receive government relief money, sweep the streets, than look for a job. People who know him call him the strange old John. Yes, your name comes from him. You are puzzled why your mother doesn't want you to have the same surname as your father but gives you the same name, but you have never asked. You think this kind of question will only get you a scolding or even a beating. Do you remember when your teacher asked you to write about your father in elementary school? In your essay, you described your father as a gentleman from a privileged family, cultured and knowledgeable. In your essay, your father is a bridge engineer who lives in a wealthy neighborhood. He loves you very much and will show you his bridge models, tell you bedtime stories, and take you camping. That's all your fantasies about your father, even though he hasn't achieved anything. You specifically asked your father to sign this essay, but he just hastily signed and didn't read the content. Because of this essay, you were criticized by the teacher, your classmates mocked you for being imaginative, and your mother was furious about your essay. You are used to all of these. You prefer to stay by your father's side more than at your mother's house. Although his house is small and messy, and you are disturbed by insects under the mattress when you sleep at night, your father won't shout at you or smash wine bottles when you're drunk. Here you can read books that your peers cannot understand, some are mathematics, some are physics. Your father has countless books at home, most of which are broken. You often see formulas that are only half of them and don't know what the other half is. Only when reading can you experience the joy of a long absence. You know you are smarter than the vast majority, just like your father is smarter than the vast majority, you are the same. If you think you understand him, he also understands you. You often think that you don't have friends, not because of your old clothes that have turned white after washing, not because of your backpack picked up from the trash can, or because of a family that relies on constantly having children to seek government subsidies, but because geniuses are always solitary. Your father is so peculiar because he is a solitary genius. Your father often sits quietly in the room alone, reading a book that you find obscure and difficult to understand for an entire afternoon. It's not until dusk that he reluctantly goes out to work with cleaning tools and deals with the garbage in the neighborhood. Waiting until the evening to come back, with a smell of garbage all over his body, he casually found something to eat, finished eating and continued reading his book. When your parents were still living together, your mother often cursed him as crazy. But this lunatic will answer every question you ask, heat up the food you can eat in the microwave, remind you to eat, make you go to bed, and even send you to the block entrance when you are at school. You like this crazy person. You love eating with your father the most. His movements are always the most sharp, even when sitting on the ground. He should straighten his back, never touch his hands with any sauce, never make the sound of chewing food, and never talk to people while eating. Whenever you stay at your father's house, he will buy you a bacon and egg sandwich after work in the morning. Although your mother will also make sandwiches for you when you are in a good mood. There are eggs, meat, tomatoes, lettuce, and salad dressing, which are more abundant than what your father bought, but you still like what your father bought for you. Because you know that my father never eats sandwiches. He buys them for you, while my mother simply wants to eat them. You like this unique feeling. Even if your father doesn't like you, buying a sandwich for you may just be a casual purchase, but this is the only privilege you can have before the age of 14. At the age of 14, you, like your older brothers and sisters, moved out of your mother's house. Your departure did not provoke your mother's curse or argument. She has already made a new boyfriend and given birth to 2 more children. Becoming a mother again has made her temper much better. She has no time to pay attention to you anymore, and you are not as good at cleaning the house as you were when you were a child. Actually, she may be eager for you to move out. There are 3 more people at home, and the originally spacious home is no longer sufficient. You can leave with a room available, and she doesn't have to bear any expenses for raising you and can still receive allowances as usual. Upon hearing the news that you wanted to move out, Sister Sunny contacted you and asked you to stay with her. She is an excellent woman who received a full scholarship through her own efforts to attend a police school. After graduation, she entered the local police station and is now a female police officer. She is also willing to take care of your excellent younger brother. But you refused because you wanted to live with your father. You are surprised that your father is willing to let you stay at his house. Even though he stated that he has already paid for the child support and will not spend any extra money on you, he only provides you with a small bed, and all your expenses are on your own. This is still a surprising thing. You think you will accept it, perhaps because you are the one who gets along with him the most among your father's 3 children. In order to make money, you start delivering milk and newspapers every morning and doing odd jobs after school. However, your grades are still excellent. Over the years, my mother has been constantly changing boyfriends and even found a job. But my father remained the same, living alone without friends, stubbornly rooted like a nail in a wealthy neighborhood that did not belong to him. A few years ago, he started taking notes, which were filled with incomprehensible formulas and sketches. My sister visited him several times hoping that he would change his job and living environment, but each time it ended in an argument. Since he threw away all the things his sister brought him last year, my sister has never visited him again. You are also starting to realize that you and your father are different. You don't even know him or understand him, but you are so eager to understand him, which may be why you are stubborn in wanting to live with him. But you don't hate him, because he is the only elder who will attend your parent-teacher meeting, even though you only have 2 elders. You are strange why your father never mentions his relatives. My mother would even curse loudly at her father who only knows how to drink and commit domestic violence when she is drunk, but your father is like jumping out of a crevice in a stone, without any relatives or friends. You only know that he immigrated, you don't even know his former country or his past. Sometimes you think he must have come from a wealthy family with a particularly good upbringing, and sometimes you think he grew up in a violent slum like your mother. He never mentions these things, just stays alone in his cabin isolated from the world. He is really a strange person. Just like you. At the age of 19, you entered a dairy factory to work in order to raise college tuition fees. This is a very hard job. You have to constantly move and pour half-a-person high milk buckets every day, working for 10 hours every day. It is difficult to find a quiet place in the noisy factory, and the vulgar jokes among colleagues make it difficult for you to blend in with them. You are a celebrity here, because you have been admitted to the University of Manchester. Although you are not as good as your father's alma mater, it is enough to impress people around you. You know, your destiny is about to change, all because of your extraordinary mind, which is the most precious thing your father has given you. But you still can't understand the books your father reads, the notes he writes. His image in your heart is even more mysterious, and he is smarter and more outstanding than you think. You realize that you couldn't become him, so you didn't apply for the same bridge construction major you once wanted to study, but instead chose biology, the subject you truly enjoy. To celebrate, you used the money you saved to buy a decent suit that you could afford and give it to your father, sharing your joy with him. Unfortunately, your father doesn't like this gift. You have never seen him wear the suit you carefully selected for him, and you may not even have opened this gift. From that day on, you deeply realize that he doesn't love you at all, he doesn't love anyone, he has been living in his own world. What you once thought he was different from you was just your illusion, and you were just a bystander with blood ties to him. After recognizing all of this, you moved out and with the help of Sunny, rented an apartment very close to the school, with a better environment and no garbage or mice. You never gave anything to your father again, just occasionally visiting like Sunny did before. The word parents has finally left your life, and you are no longer constrained by anything. You truly start to be yourself and experience your own life. You have started a new life. Chapter 4. Character Book, Part 2. You are listening at novel-full.audio. At the age of 21, you ended your absurd college life. Without parental control, you have completely indulged yourself. You have started to indulge in alcohol, indulging in emotions, and spend most of your day feeling groggy due to alcohol. Alcohol numbs your nerves and also numbs your smart brain, making you feel like a passerby in your college life. You haven't had any contact with your parents in the past 4 years, they have completely disappeared from your life. However, on the eve of your graduation ceremony, you still invited your parents to attend, not because you didn't want them to miss important moments in your life, but just because of routine. As you expected, they don't seem to want to have any relationship with you either. Your invitation went down the drain, and on your graduation day, only your classmates and friends gave you applause, not them. You have no attachment to your college life, and if there are any beautiful memories, it is probably only the brief happiness brought to you by alcohol. But this happiness doesn't exist now. You quit drinking. Although you hardly learned anything during your college years, this diploma still helped you find a good job. Graduation is good news for you. You can finally have a decent job, earn a decent salary, and live the prosperous life you have dreamed of since childhood. After graduation, you will be at ease in your new company. You are highly appreciated by your superiors, and your talent and intelligence have finally found a place to showcase. Soon, you will be sent to an overseas branch to hold an important position. There, you met Mina. Mina is your subordinate, a very lively and beautiful girl. She has bright golden hair, brown eyes, charming dimples, and a sweet smile. She is like the brilliant summer sunshine, suddenly illuminating your life, and you cannot help but fall in love with her. She has many things that you once longed for, a happy and fulfilling childhood, a good family background, and an outgoing personality. She has what you once longed for, living the way you once dreamed. Mina doesn't care about your background or family. She is good at listening and tolerant. She can accept everything you have, and you often feel that meeting her is your greatest luck at this time. You will never forget that winter night when your mother somehow found out your phone number. After getting drunk, she called you and cursed loudly that you wouldn't live to be 28 years old. The development of new drugs has been repeatedly frustrated, criticism from superiors makes you gasp for breath, power outages in apartments, lost deliveries, and even sandwich takeout is particularly unappetizing. It seems that all the worries are concentrated on that day, and Black Friday is nothing more. You walked downstairs feeling frustrated and wanted to relax in the darkness for a while, but a scolding phone call from your boss made your mood even more irritable. You stand downstairs, suppressed and angry, almost devouring you. Mina threw herself into your arms at this moment. Like a little deer, with a smile on its face, a furry scarf against you, and brown eyes that seemed to have starlight. Surprise! Mina raised the plastic bag in her hand and said, "Look what I brought you, handmade Mexican food. I saw your roast about today's lousy sandwiches on Twitter. It just happened that I was learning Mexican food recently. I made it to your taste. I have handmade candles in my bag that I used to make, which I can use now. I had a candle at dinner when there was a power outage. Oh my God, this was my dream when I was 16 years old, but unfortunately, my home hasn't been powered off." Actually, the Mexican food Mina cooked that day was very unpleasant, so spicy that you almost burst into tears. But no matter how you look back on it later, you feel that it was the most delicious dish you have ever tasted. Jiang Qi. Damn it, why can such strange people have beautiful friends like Bai Fu, while he, a normal young man, was kicked by his girlfriend on the eve of the postgraduate entrance examination. Jiang Qi turned to the next page. December 24th. You have lost your father. Jiang Qi. Is it so sudden? Is there no explanation of the causes and consequences? I wrote so much nonsense earlier, did I just leave it this way when we left the plot? The death of your father dealt a great blow to you, and coupled with the difficulties in your work, you lived in a daze during those days. The development of new drugs is very difficult, and the enormous work pressure makes you have to forget all your troubles and devote yourself wholeheartedly to work. You often work overtime until late at night, and the dark circles under your eyes are getting heavier. Irregular meals have caused you to suffer from stomach problems. After a year of hard work, the development of new drugs has finally made tremendous progress. You and Mina have also reached the point of discussing marriage. Just as you were discussing the marriage date, the data on the new drug was leaked, and all clues pointed to you as the person who leaked the data. You know this is a complete framing, you are trying to gather evidence and create your own, but it is confirmed by an unfounded document provided by your boss. You are speechless, only Mina believes you. You were sued by the company and imprisoned. In one day, you have transformed from a promising social elite to a notorious business spy. Despite family opposition, Mina insists on being with you, holding your hand and telling you she believes in you. During the 2 years and 8 months in prison, Mina never abandoned you. She often visited the prison and you found that she was becoming increasingly haggard, with fewer and fewer accessories on her body. She no longer carries those branded bags, does not do manicures, does not wear high heels, and her clothes are becoming more and more simple. Every time she visits the prison, she never mentions her life, and when you ask, she just casually brings it along. You see everything in your eyes, and you secretly swear in your heart that after being released from prison, you must start over and give Mina the best life, hosting the wedding that she has imagined with you countless times before. After being released from prison, you only found out that Mina was kicked out of the house by her father because she insisted on marrying you before your imprisonment, despite her father's opposition. For over 2 years, she has been trying to overturn the case for you, spending a lot of money, selling jewelry and luxury goods, and being fired by the company as a result. The wealthy young lady who used to never look at prices when buying things has become an ordinary office worker who is busy with her salary and gathers supermarket coupons to buy discounted products. You started looking for a job, but it was very difficult. Due to the background of commercial espionage cases, no large company is willing to hire you. You rush around to apply for resumes, and even for positions with extremely low salaries, they often turn around and refuse. You know there must be someone secretly targeting you, even if you change cities, it doesn't improve. Mina has not achieved nothing in the past 2 years. You are well aware that the framing incident is closely related to your former boss. It's strange that every time the private detective she hired finds a useful clue, it disappears, causing her to have been working tirelessly for the past 2 years. After careful consideration, you have decided to start your own beverage business. With a smart mind, your beverage business is very successful, but after 2 years, you have gained considerable scale and started a company to develop new beverages. The new drink became very popular as soon as it was launched, with orders flying like snowflakes from all over the country. As you and Mina were about to start a new life, the new drink suddenly encountered food safety issues. Multiple children were poisoned, and the situation escalated. You and Mina wanted to investigate the factory building, but it caught fire for no reason, causing multiple workers to be burned. Your past imprisonment was also uncovered and heavily publicized, with various insults and doubts coming one after another. Soon, the company's funding chain broke and was on the brink of bankruptcy. You were once again sued in court, facing a more severe prison sentence than before. Under these consecutive blows, you collapsed. You start drinking excessively, indulging in alcohol all day long. Alcohol numbs your brain and also numbs your pain. You start to lose control of your emotions and become irritable, just like your former mother, easily angered, yelling, and smashing wine bottles. You start to feel dizzy and soon, you feel that alcohol cannot satisfy you. You need something that can numb your nerves and make you feel happy. You start smoking marijuana. No matter how Mina tries to dissuade you, you are sinking day by day. You may not have thought about getting back on your feet, but falling is far easier than getting back on your feet. The harsh reality has made you increasingly obsessed with the illusory joy that drugs bring you. When you are awake, you will feel ashamed. When you see Mina's haggard face and sad expression, the guilt and shame will be so strong that they will devour you. However, the more guilt and shame you feel, the more you evade and sink deeper. You often think of crazy mothers and quirky fathers, and you start to wonder if you are born with crazy genes. Occasionally looking in the mirror when awake, you don't deserve the beautiful Mina when you look at that non-human, non-ghost version of yourself in the mirror. Mina is willing to accompany you like this, but you don't want to. You don't deserve it. You speak ill of Mina, trying to make her dislike you. You have been dragging her down all these years, she would have a better life without you. Finally, Mina left you. She disappeared from your life. Ironically, you woke up after Mina left. With the help of lawyers, the injured workers and the parents of poisoned children chose to reconcile. Although the company went bankrupt, the compensation did not completely bankrupt you. You returned to Y country, quit drinking and drug with Sunny's help, and your life returned to normal. Life seems to be getting better. Except for the absence of Mina. You start looking for Mina, but she seems to have evaporated from the human world. She didn't return to her father's side, no one knew her news, and she just disappeared like she never existed. On January 9th, you received an invitation letter from Mask Club and a black mask. Dear Mr. John, our club has a dinner on the evening of January 11th at 7 p.m., and we sincerely invite you to come. Our club will fulfill one wish for each guest participating in the banquet, by sharing their own stories and paying a small price. If you are interested, please wear a black mask and wait at the Starlight Hotel entrance at 5 p.m. on January 11th. At that time, a staff member will take you inside. Mask Club up, it's like a prank, but you still decide to go. After all, you have nothing to lose now. On the afternoon of January 11th at 5 o'clock, you arrived at the Starlight Hotel with your mask on time and waited outside. As stated in the invitation letter, a staff member wearing a tailcoat and a white mask leads you into the hotel. The hotel is decorated very extravagantly, with service staff wearing white masks for both men and women. You dress very casually and don't look like you're attending a high-end dinner party at all. The staff led you into the banquet hall, where there was only one banquet table and 6 guests dressed differently, wearing black masks like you, were waiting here. The staff said, the banquet will start at 7 o'clock sharp. You can freely walk around the banquet hall. We will have a story-sharing activity later. Please prepare your story well. Our boss likes to share your stories with guests the most. This banquet is strange. You quietly looked at the 6 guests present, 3 men and 3 women. A man in a high-end suit was talking to a short-haired woman in red high heels, while the other 4 had already taken their seats and had no conversation with each other. You have no interest in communication, and staying silent at this time is the best choice for you. You sit quietly in the corner, waiting for the start of the banquet. Your task. Finding Mina is your top priority, and if this club can truly fulfill your wishes, you must please the club's owner no matter what. Since this boss likes to listen to stories, why not generously tell them to him? The more exciting the better, not too long. No one likes to listen to lengthy nonsense. 2. Inquiring about the origin of the club. It is impossible for such a mysterious club to have an unknown origin. 3. Conceal the fact that you have been imprisoned before. No one will have a favorable impression of the criminal. Do not open the next page without the host's permission. Chapter 5. Christmas Eve, 1. You are listening at novel full.audio. Do not open the next page without the host's permission. Jiang Qi looked up and loudly asked Lu Lan, Lan, what does the meaning of the one in the book? Please do not open the next page without the host's permission. When playing the game, players cannot open the next page without DM's permission, to prevent novice players from flipping to the next scene's notes in advance. Jiang Qi, it doesn't affect your ability to continue reading. Jiang Qi nodded to show that he understood, then continued reading. The second act is a small theater, not much more than a page long. The content is about 7 people present, each having a strange atmosphere with a waiter wearing a white mask coming out to inform everyone that there is a small problem in the preparation of the party. The story-sharing meeting will start earlier. Guests present are requested to prepare a bit, and now they can move around the banquet hall. There is a smoking room on the right side of the banquet hall, and men in need can go to the smoking room to smoke. Jiang Qi flipped through the remaining 5 character books and found that the man wearing a high-end suit in the book was not among them. It seems that this man has something. Jiang Qi thought this way and opened the third act. Jiang Qi. That man in a high-end suit is actually John's unnamed former boss. During the free time, John pretended to be addicted to smoking and wanted to go to the smoking room for a cigarette. In fact, he felt that the party was strange and wanted to explore other places. Just as John entered a file room, he met his former boss who had taken off his mask. After seeing John, the former boss started attacking him with a fierce expression on his face. After an ineffective fight, the former boss was mistakenly killed by John. John, who had no criminal experience, suddenly became a master of crime without a teacher. He quickly cleaned up the crime scene and disguised his former boss as someone who had been hit on the head by a document falling from a height. He didn't even bump into the corner of the table and died unexpectedly. Before leaving, he didn't forget to put on his mask for his former boss. While dealing with the body, John accidentally came across a scattered file on the ground, which contained information about Mina. This made John more certain that Mina's disappearance was related to this mysterious club. Finally, John returned to the banquet hall and hastily lit a cigarette, leaving a faint tobacco smell on himself. He threw the unfinished cigarette butt into the ashtray at the entrance of the smoking room and returned to the banquet hall pretending to ignore it. Jiang Qi. Absurd, really outrageous. The last paragraph is still a task. Your task. 1. Conceal the fact that you are the murderer. 2. Investigate the relationship between Mina and this club. 3. Stand out in the upcoming story-sharing session and strive to win the favor of the club owner. Do not open the next page without the host's permission. Jiang Qi opened the fourth act, which was a small theater before the start of the story-sharing event. Moving on to the next act, he found that the story-sharing event had ended at the beginning of the fifth act. John also passed the test of the club owner and could make a wish for equivalent exchange before leaving the club. Jiang Qi. Did he miss out on the exciting plot of 10,000 words? Jiang Qi flipped forward again and found that there was indeed no content related to the test. Lan, why hasn't the book written about the mysterious test of the club? Jiang Qi asked loudly. That's in the host's manual. Jiang Qi went to read the host's manual again, and while studying, Lu Lan put down her phone and walked towards him. Where did you see? Lu Lan glanced at the book that Jiang Qi had just read. You read John's book first. This book is quite interesting. When I recall, there are even more scenes about my father than Mina. It's an old scumbag book. Memories. You flipped through the host's manual backwards. It's the mechanism part between the fourth and fifth acts. There are too many words. Jiang Qi flipped over to what Lu Lan had said, and there were indeed quite a few words. The host needed to play the role of the club owner at this moment, with a sinister and antagonistic expression, asking the players questions and allowing them to reminisce. Each player has forgotten some memories that are too joyful for them to be remembered, or simply too painful to remember. The so-called test is when the host sends these memory fragments to each player, and then asks them strange or shocking questions. No, these are John's memory cards. Lu Lan took out 6 memory cards belonging to John from the box and handed them to Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi took the cards and looked at them. Oh, scumbag. He kept saying he wanted to find Mina, but only one of the 6 cards was a sweet memory of the past with Mina. The remaining 5 are. Writing a fake essay. My father was invited by parents who wanted to invite old John over but were mercilessly rejected. I wanted to invite old John to participate in a parent-child activity, but he was mercilessly rejected by old John, who was reading a book. The details of giving old John a suit as a gift were ignored by old John, and the gift bag was not opened. No one attended the graduation ceremony, but only Sunny called in advance to explain that she had a job and was unable to attend. The others did not reply. A detailed description of the day old John passed away. Jiang Qi looked at them one by one, each one filled with John, a child who had been lacking in love since childhood, repeatedly probing his father's past and being rejected by him. Jiang Qi looked at Lu Lan and said as he spoke. At first, I thought John was a pure love book, but I didn't expect it to be a family book. No wonder there were so many childhood stories written earlier. However, his father, old John, is also strange. He insisted on living like that even though he had money. He didn't explain why in the end. I feel like this is. Lu Lan's voice gradually blurred, while another gentle female voice became clearer. John, Sunny should probably just get off the plane. Can you call her to ask her secret apple pie recipe for me? I forgot again. English. Jiang Qi looked up in confusion and found himself no longer in the store. He was sitting on the sofa in the living room of a household, with a man and a woman laughing and talking behind him. The lady has bright golden long hair, brown eyes, shallow dimples when laughing, curved eyebrows and eyes, and deep facial features, which are the standard appearance of a Western beauty. Even wearing a pink apron with an ugly cartoon cat pattern does not affect her beauty. The man is wearing a suit and looks like he has just finished work. His black hair and facial features are relatively soft. It's Mina and John. For no reason, Jiang Qi felt that the 2 people he had never met before were the male and female leads of Ben. Jiang Qi stood up and found that the 2 of them had no reaction. It was obvious that they couldn't see him, and he was not sure about the current situation. He looked down at the large card in his hand and found that it was completely blank. Looking at the Christmas decorations all over the house, a guess emerged from Jiang Qi's heart. Are you entering the world in the card? With barely passing the CT.6 level of English, Jiang Qi struggled to listen to their conversation. Chapter 6. Christmas Eve, 2. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. John and Mina are chatting about work matters, and Jiang Qi is confused by a lot of professional terms, so he can only wander around John's house for now. It can be seen that John's career was indeed quite smooth in the years before he was imprisoned. High-grade apartment, large flat floor, French window, open kitchen, standard cloakroom for successful people, various styles of suits, neatly placed ties. The home of the male lead in a typical idol drama is just like this. Jiang Qi slowly swayed to the study, where there were 3 photo frames on the desk, all of which were taken with Mina. The notebook used for work is still open, with analysis reports that Jiang Qi cannot understand on it. There are many large books on the bookshelf, and each book is clean without any dust, so it is likely that they are frequently flipped or wiped. Jiang Qi looks from left to right, including structural dynamics, basic mechanics, basic bridge architecture, basic machinery. Jiang Qi. Isn't John studying biology? Why do you read such books when you're idle? It looks quite mixed. Jiang Qi wandered through the whole house and found that the youth version of John was indeed a winner and successful person in life. The house is luxurious, beautifully decorated, and the interior is tidy. There are many wine cabinets and model display cabinets, and a series of sports items such as rackets and skateboards placed in the storage room showcased the rich hobbies of this successful person. Returning to the open kitchen in the living room, John and Mina were chatting about something that Jiang Qi could understand. This year is really a pity. I thought I could go to Y country with you for Christmas vacation, but you didn't even have Christmas vacation, Mina muttered as she waited for the roasted turkey in the oven to be cooked, leaning against the kitchen counter. The aroma of turkey has already permeated the whole house, and the atmosphere of Christmas is exceptionally strong. The boss said he would give us a long vacation after the new drug development is completed, and then we can go back. John, feeling tired, untied his tie and was about to go back to the house to change into more comfortable clothes when Sunny called. Merry Christmas. Sunny's voice was also gentle, slightly lower than Mina's. I haven't looked at my phone since I got off the plane. I just went to the supermarket to buy some food and was about to go to Dad's place. Is there anything I can tell Dad on my behalf? John, who was originally full of smiles, instantly withdrew his smile and said lightly, "No need." I knew it. Sunny on the other end of the phone looked very helpless. You haven't been back to China for many years, and they've actually been thinking of you quite a lot. Mom said she missed you a lot last week. She said she hasn't spent Christmas with you for over a decade, and she really wants to meet your beautiful girlfriend. Miss me. John's voice was full of sarcasm. I'm afraid it's just some polite words, or maybe it's because she's been exhausted by her 3 new daughters and misses a child who can help her with household chores but won't resist her. Don't say that, Sunny said softly. She's been much better these years, at least better than when we were kids, isn't she? Of course, can there be a worse mother in this world than she used to be? I will never forget her curse that I won't live to be 28 years old. John. Okay, I'll shut up. John paused but couldn't help but speak, but you really shouldn't have raised me. Sunny interrupted John's words, she's also our sister, she's only 14 years old. She's only 14 years old and she's a drug addict. She's drunk, uneducated, just a. I used to be the same way, Sunny said. It's just that it's not as bad as her. John, you can't expect every child who grew up in the same environment as us to be the same as you were. You can live well with your talent, but we're not as smart as you. We often rely on luck. Just like when I was a child, I really wanted a kind-hearted person to help me. I'm her sister, shouldn't I help her when she's wrong? John was obviously not convinced, but he couldn't refute it and could only whisper, this is not your responsibility. But I have this ability. John completely shut up and gave up arguing. So, don't always have prejudice against your dad. Although he's not a qualified dad, believe me, he likes you very much and won't do such things to you. He doesn't like me. Sunny chuckled a few times and said, you're really like my son. I wish he were as smart as you. John hung up the phone decisively, and Jiang Qi seemed to hear Sunny laughing with her phone from thousands of miles away. While John hung up the phone, the roasted turkey was also successfully served. Mina was excitedly adding various side dishes to the plate containing the roasted turkey when John hung up and asked, Sunny's phone, right? Tell me the secret recipe for the apple pie, there's still time to bake the pie now. John. I forgot to ask, John said awkwardly. He just had a few words with Sunny and forgot about the main matter. Mina. Mina spread her hands and took off her apron, saying, "Okay, although I rarely cook today and want to make a sumptuous Christmas feast, it's obvious that some people don't want desserts, so there won't be any desserts today." Just as Jiang Qi thought they were going to have a fight on Christmas Eve, the young couple suddenly showed their affection again. The dishes were served, and John pulled open the chair for Mina. The two of them sat at the dining table, enjoying the Christmas feast one after another. Jiang Qi. The atmosphere of Christmas permeates the air. John and Mina drank a few glasses of red wine, and Mina's cheeks were slightly flushed as she was not very strong. Under the dim yellow light, the young couple sat next to each other and whispered vague words. Mina laughed and fell into John's arms, causing Jiang Qi to silently turn his head. "Wait a moment, there shouldn't be any content that can't be broadcasted, right? Do you want to watch a movie?" Mina asked with a smile, playing coquettish in John's arms. "I want to watch science fiction." John's phone rang before he could finish speaking. "It's Sunny's video call." "Wait a moment." John sat up straight, and Mina also left his arm and sat up straight. "It's Sunny's video call," John explained and answered the call. On the phone screen, it's not Sunny's face, but clean tiles. "Sunny." A few seconds later, Sunny's face appeared on the phone. Her mixed hair on both sides was slightly wet, her eyeliner was slightly dizzy, and there were still unmelted snowflakes on her shoulder. The background was a white wall, and people looked very embarrassed. "Have you arrived home? Is it raining outside? Are you at the station now?" John asked. "I'm in the hospital." Sunny's background sound was a bit noisy. "Wait a moment, I'll find a quieter place." "Hospital. What happened to you? Are you sick? Or is it your son?" Mina leaned over and said, "Is Sunny sick?" Sunny found a relatively quiet window, outside which it was snowing heavily, which perfectly matched the atmosphere of Christmas Eve. Today is Christmas Eve, and there aren't many doctors and nurses in the hospital. "Everyone is busy," Sunny said. "Is it your son?" John had already noticed that Sunny was in good health. Sunny sighed and said, "It's Dad." John's tone became slightly cold. "He lives in that place, and getting sick is normal." "He's very sick." Sunny looked at John helplessly, her tone a bit sad. "This morning when he went to the supermarket to buy groceries, he fainted and was taken to the hospital. The people in the community contacted Mom, but you know her. I just arrived at his house and found out that no one was there. I called Mom to ask and found out." "What disease does he have?" John interrupted Sunny's words, "Anemia. Enteritis. Gastritis. Fractures. Those are all minor illnesses." Jiang Qi saw John's face turn pale with a brush. "It's pancreatic cancer. The doctor said that he was diagnosed 3 months ago. Brother, Dad won't live for a few more days." John looked at Sunny on the screen in his hand, looking at her expression, trying to find clues on her face to prove that she was lying. "Pancreatic cancer." John repeated, his mouth slightly twitching, trying to squeeze out a sarcastic smile but failed, so he didn't tell anyone about such a serious disease. Even if he was short of money for treatment, he didn't want to contact us, did he? "No," Sunny shook her head. "I checked his treatment records and he didn't receive any treatment." "Is he crazy?" John raised his voice, "He has medical insurance, I bought it for him. He just needs to speak up. He hasn't received treatment, so what is he doing these days? Sitting at home waiting to die." "You calm down." Sunny seemed to anticipate John losing control like this, whispering softly, "I don't know why he did it. Dad is sleeping now, and when he wakes up, you can ask him in person." "Sleep." Sunny sighed and said, "The doctor said he hasn't taken painkillers. He has come to the hospital for a few follow-up visits, each time asking how long he can still live. He refuses treatment and medication, and he hasn't slept peacefully for a long time. His body is too tired. The nurse gave him a painkiller injection, so whatever happens, let him sleep peacefully first. I don't know how painful pancreatic cancer is. Just now, the nurse told me that some late-stage patients would be so painful that they could not sleep all night, and it was useless to hit the maximum dose of morphine. They were so painful that they didn't even have the strength to cover their stomach and talk, and they didn't dare to breathe hard. The nurse asked my father how he walked to the supermarket, and I couldn't even imagine it. He is self-abusing. I always feel like he's been punishing himself for something over the years. Although he can live well, he insists on living in that small house. He even cleaned the street yesterday. You are really like him. You always complain to me about how strange he is, always saying how much you dislike him. Every time you mention him, you are unhappy, but it is you who bought him high medical insurance, and it is you who asked me to install heating in his house. Do you still remember the police academy I attended back then? I never received a scholarship at all, not a single penny. I really wanted to attend that school. I begged my mom, and she told me to leave. She said it was already expensive enough to support me, and she wouldn't even help me pay a penny. I had already given up, but later I didn't give up on begging my dad. I don't even know where he got the money. He gave me all the tuition in one go and told me not to bother him if I had nothing to do. Even the living expenses I gave you in college were what my dad asked me to give you. From childhood to adulthood, my dad's favorite child was you, and he could pay for all the college tuition for me. How could he possibly ignore you? He is really a very strange person. He has no past, no friends, no family, and even doesn't let us inherit his surname. I have lived with him for nearly 10 years, but I know nothing about him. Although he didn't take care of me for a day after his divorce from his mother, I can't hate him. You're just like me, aren't you? John moved his lips and couldn't speak. Did he wake up? John remained silent for a long time before asking. Not yet. The nurse will let me know when I wake up. Tell me when he wakes up. John hung up the video call. He and Mina are still sitting at the table. The big meal on the table has cooled down. The scene is the same as it was a few minutes ago, but the festival atmosphere has disappeared. John stared absent-mindedly at the dishes on the table, unsure of what he was thinking. Mina didn't dare to speak, nor did she know what to say. She just sat quietly beside John, accompanying him. Suddenly, John spoke up. When I was a child, I thought I was his most special child. He will attend my parents' meeting, buy me a sandwich that I like to eat, take me to the block entrance, and answer my questions, although he is reluctant. Although he doesn't tell me bedtime stories, doesn't participate in school parent-child activities, doesn't accept my first gift to him, and doesn't attend my graduation ceremony, I always feel that he is special to me. I hate him and my family. For so many years, I have always believed that if Sunny and I could be born into a normal family, we would live better than we do now. But I have to admit that my intelligence is inherited from him, and my appearance is inherited from my mother. These are all things they gave me. I hate my mom, but it seems like I don't hate him that much. I hate that I'm not his most special child, and now I don't even know if he likes us or doesn't. John just wanted to find someone to confide in, to share his years of confusion and confusion. Mina took John's hand and comforted him. Darling, although I don't know much, I know that if a father doesn't love his child, he won't remember what his child likes to eat. My dad never forgets what I like to eat, even though I have told him many times. He has never taken me to school and always asks the driver to do it. He doesn't chat with me, he's very busy, you see, he doesn't even celebrate Christmas with me. Mina stood up and poured John a glass of water. Let's talk to him when he wakes up. You can take a few days off to visit him. The boss will agree. If you don't mind, I can take a leave to accompany you back. Under Mina's comfort, John's mood significantly improved. Mina smiled at John and started helping him pick up the plate. John also got up to tidy it up. Just as John picked up the roasted turkey that had only been touched a few bites, Sunny's video call came back. John quickly put down the plate containing the turkey and answered the phone. Sunny was in the ward, and her phone didn't show her face. John could only see the open door of the ward and the hurried nurse. "Is Dad awake?" John asked. "No," Sunny choked, "he's too tired." "What? John shouldn't have come over. He passed away." John and Mina were both stunned. Mina stood in the kitchen feeling a bit lost. She wanted to walk and hug John, but after taking a step, she stopped moving. Although Jiang Qi had known the ending of the story for a long time, seeing John's expression at this moment also made him feel inexplicably sad. "I want to see him," John whispered. The picture on the phone was trembling, and Sunny's hand was shaking as she raised it. In the picture, the old man on the hospital bed seemed to be asleep, with a nurse calling out to other nurses by the bed, waiting for a cart to come and transport the body of old John. Old John is extremely thin. Her gray hair is very sparse, her face is waxy yellow, and her whole body is covered in age spots. Due to the torment of illness, a large amount of lost fat cannot support the skin. The facial epithelium is loosely draped, and what should have been a very fierce appearance now appears somewhat kind. "He's so thin," John said. "Yeah," Sunny sobbed, "he has lost a lot of weight in recent years, and many clothes he wears look like elephant skin draped over his body. I haven't seen him for many years. The last time I saw him, he didn't have so many spots on his face. My hair is not white either. The suit I bought him must be a lot bigger now. If only he could have put it on at that time. I saved up a lot of money back then, he would definitely like it." As he spoke, John looked at his phone and tears streamed down his face. Chapter 7. Game Activation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After leaving the memory, Jiang Qi was still a bit confused. He returned to the script killing shop again, still sitting on the sofa, while Lu Lan seamlessly continued to talk about her views on Ben, still holding a large card with memories in his hand. Jiang Qi lowered his head and the last line exclaimed, "I saved up a lot of money back then, he would definitely like it." Did his system show up? Jiang Qi let out a light cough and interrupted Lu Lan's endless reading comments, saying, "I just seem to have left the power bank upstairs without taking it down. I'll go up and find the power bank." "Oh," Lu Lan hesitated for a moment, nodded, and only when Jiang Qi had already gone upstairs did she realize that something was wrong. Strange, did Jiang Qi come with a power bank in his hand? He didn't have a backpack either. Jiang Qi went upstairs and walked straight into the European-style room closest to the staircase. He turned on the lights and closed the door in one go, and quickly clicked on the system panel. At the same time as opening the system panel, a cheerful system prompt sound that had never been heard before sounded in Jiang Qi's ear. Congratulations to player Jiang Qi for completing the beginner's tutorial. The game has been officially activated and you have received a beginner's tutorial reward of character card, X1. Please check the card pack and the game guide can be viewed on the main interface. You have explored a main task, please check it in the taskbar. Beginner's tutorial. Task panel. Jiang Qi clicked on the system panel, and the newly appeared columns instantly caught his attention. Player name. Jiang Qi. Age. 23. Occupation. Acting store manager of Xinghe Script Society owned stores. Milk tea shop, closed, fried chicken shop, closed, string shop, closed, flower shop, closed, childcare institution, closed, snack shop, closed, convenience shop, closed, script kill store, activated, click to view store details, holding card. Character card, X1, click to view card details, main task, click to view details, game guide, click to view game guide, cards. Store details. These are all new things that have never appeared before. Jiang Qi clicked on the store details in order. Star River Script Society reputation. 0. This is simply the most junk store I have ever seen. Satisfaction. 0. You don't even have a loyal customer. Store evaluation. Not far from closure. Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi silently clicked on the card details, which include 3 types. Mission cards, construction cards, and special cards. Construction cards and special cards are all empty, and only character cards can be clicked. Character card. John Survival, summoned, star rating. Skill. Cleaning. John Survival, who has been a cleaner for 40 years, can clean every corner, acting in their true colors. Everyone is very good at portraying themselves, although it's a bit boring. Card details. A strange old man who has been a cleaner for his whole life, likes to live in wealthy neighborhoods, has extremely low material desires, and seems to have many secrets. Friendly reminder. Each card slot can only hold 3 cards. Players are advised to choose carefully and strive to upgrade their cards. Isn't this old John? After hesitating for a few seconds on the option of summoning, Jiang Qi decided to temporarily exit the card interface and first see what the main mission is before deciding whether to summon. Main task. 1. New start. To save a small shop on the brink of bankruptcy, the most important thing is to have customers who truly love it. Please ask the player to receive a genuine love from a guest, which is 1 point of satisfaction. Task progress. Satisfaction, 0 to 1, task reward. 500 yuan. 500 yuan. Jiang Qi's eyes moistened. It's really touching. Nowadays, there are not many systems that never force you to give money directly. Is this the legendary conscience game? Poor Jiang Qi opened the game guide with an excited heart. Game guide. 1. This game is a card game, and there will be no punishment for failed missions. Players are advised to focus on cards, with missions as a supplement, and strive to collect cards. 2. The highest card can be upgraded to 3 stars. Players are advised to work hard to upgrade their cards. 3. This game has extremely high degrees of freedom, players are advised to explore on their own. 4. All interpretation rights belong to the game. Jiang Qi. Do you call this a game guide? Jiang Qi decided to retract his positive review of the game just now. Since there is nothing written in the guide, Jiang Qi can only summon the cards to explore on his own. Returning to the card interface, Jiang Qi reached out and clicked on the summonable option on the right side of the character card. In the summonable option, he clicked yes and heard a cheerful system prompt sound again. Ding! Congratulations to player Jiang Qi for summoning the 1-star character card John Survival. The character has appeared near the store, please find it yourself. Jiang Qi. Do you have to search for the summoned cards yourself? Jiang Qi felt that if words could float on his head, it would be all question marks now. Later, there was a change, and there was no time to think too much. Jiang Qi quickly ran downstairs and rushed out of the store door in front of Lu Lan's confused eyes, searching for old John everywhere. The alleys extend in all directions and the roads are extremely complicated. Jiang Qi finally found a slightly spacious black suit at the door of the ramen noodles shop. He was dressed appropriately and looked like an old John in his 50s. Jiang Qi not only found old John, but also confirmed that he had no problem talking with him in Chinese, and then he ate a beef ramen noodles with him at the ramen noodles restaurant for 7 yuan. Old John is not very good at using chopsticks. 2 chopsticks in his hand are like fighting, and he can only pick them up one by one. After a meal of ramen noodles, Jiang Qi ate a few pieces of soup after he had finished old John's bowl. Jiang Qi looked around and saw the owner of the meeting place sitting at the door watching a video. After confirming that no one around could hear them clearly, he asked with confidence, "May I ask? What should I call them?" "Just call me Old John," Old John said slowly. Seeing that Old John was quite cooperative, Jiang Qi didn't hesitate and went straight to the topic. how much do you know about cards? The game guide allows Jiang Qi to explore on his own, so he can only explore the character card itself. Old John lowered his head and tried to pick the noodles from the bowl, but to no avail. He said, very little. Regarding cards, I only know that Samsung cards do not occupy card slots. Jiang Qi suddenly nodded. No wonder the game made players work hard to upgrade their cards. What are the conditions for ascending the star? Old John thought for a moment and said, it should be the reputation value. People love us, appreciate us, respect us, and even fear us, which can be converted into reputation values. Once the conditions are met, we will naturally rise to star status. Jiang Qi tried to ask Old John some other questions about cards, but he couldn't answer them all. Old John answered slowly while eating noodles, without any delay. The game itself can't ask anything, so Jiang Qi can only ask Old John about himself. Old John himself is a background board for playing soy sauce in this book, mainly used to highlight the tragic childhood of the protagonist. Many information is very vague, and even his name does not appear in the book. Jiang Qi only knows his name after looking at the cards. This question may be a bit presumptuous. Why haven't you been working for so many years? Old John swallowed a mouthful of noodles and said, I don't know. Jiang Qi. It's not written in this book. Jiang Qi can only change the question. Why don't you receive treatment? I don't know, it's not written in the notebook. Jiang Qi. After several minutes of inquiry, Jiang Qi finally understood what was going on. As a story supporting role, all appearances of Old John are to serve the protagonist. The cause and effect and behavioral logic are all covered in one stroke, which is no problem in a story that has nothing to do with Old John. But now that Old John has become a person summoned by cards, he still only has the setting given to him by the original story. Only after he wrote it did he have it, otherwise it would be blank. His past, his family, his personality, and everything about him were bestowed upon him by the author of the original story. Everything he experienced in the story, his behavioral logic, was written by the author, and if not written, he doesn't know why. What Old John knows depends entirely on what the author has written. If the author's setting for Old John is to build rockets, even if it is unreasonable, Old John will still build rockets. Jiang Qi decided to go back and study the script carefully later, to understand Old John's lifestyle and various skills, so as to facilitate the study of how to ascend to the stars. When Old John took his last bite of noodles, Jiang Qi also asked the last question. Do you have anything you want now? Even if Old John is a character in the script, he can still be considered a living person now, with 7 emotions and 6 desires, joy, anger, sorrow, and what he wants to do. Yes, Old John said firmly. I want to live in a wealthy neighborhood. Jiang Qi. I also want to do it. Chapter 8. Hubris. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is a bit difficult, Jiang Qi said tactfully. As a poor person selected by a game system whose bank account balance did not reach 5 digits, Jiang Qi stated that the rent in high-end residential areas is too expensive for him to afford. Old John didn't react much, just nodded. The noodles in the bowl are empty. Do you have any other needs? Jiang Qi asked. I need a job. Old John glanced at Jiang Qi's empty bowl. Do we have to finish this kind of noodles with soup? That's not necessary either. Old John didn't drink soup and sat quietly on the chair. Summoning a living person who needed to eat and drink with a summoning card was unexpected for Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi first calculated his savings and then secretly glanced at Old John's card details, making a decision in his heart. I'll take you to buy some clothes to change later. You stay at my house for the next few days. Your phone. I have it. Old John took out his phone from his pocket, not only his phone but also his wallet, which contained a British ID card, a transportation card, and a few pounds. I just don't know if this ID card can be used. Jiang Qi took old John's phone and glanced at it. It was a very old-fashioned blue-screen brick phone, which Jiang Qi had never seen since middle school. It can still be used. Jiang Qi tried to call himself using old John's brick machine and found out that the one inside was actually a domestic phone card. I didn't expect this card system to be quite user-friendly, as mobile phone and phone cards are popular in Rome. To save some money without buying a phone, Jiang Qi returned the phone to old John and continued, "I am currently the acting store manager of a script killing store. As a clerk, you are mainly responsible for the hygiene inside the store. Just let me know if you need anything, although it may not be possible to achieve it. For example, living in a wealthy neighborhood." Jiang Qi is currently quite conflicted about where old John will live in the future. His house is a large 4-bedroom, 2-living-room apartment. He, Jiang Bing, and his parents each have one room, and there is also a guest room. Now that Jiang Bing has gone out to escape reality, he will definitely not be able to come back in the short term. Jiang Qi's parents have been doing business abroad for years and usually only come back during the Chinese New Year. In theory, it is not a problem for old John to stay for a few months first. The current problem is that Jiang Qi's sister-in-law and uncle will come to deliver vegetables to him every now and then. Jiang Qi has many relatives, including 3 uncles alone. There are 2 uncles and 1 aunt in our family. Due to the early death of Jiang Qi's grandparents, his father Jiang Xiaoyang, second uncle Jiang Xiaoguang, and sister-in-law Jiang Xiaohong were all raised by his uncle Jiang Shaokong. The elder brother is like a father, and Jiang Shaokong, who is both a father and a mother, has grown up his younger siblings. When he was young, he couldn't afford to marry in order to support his younger siblings. He only got married in his 30s, resulting in his only daughter Jiang Wanwan being 1 year younger than Jiang Qi. It is precisely because of this that Jiang Qi's uncle and aunt have an exceptionally close relationship. As long as they gather in a city during the Chinese New Year, they must go to Jiang Xiaokong's house to have a New Year's Eve dinner together every year. Jiang Qi's biological father, Jiang Xiaoyang, is a rare cultural figure among his peers in the Jiang family. Compared to his uncle, Jiang Shaokong, who studied in elementary school for a year and knew a few words, his second uncle, Jiang Xiaoguang, who worked in the south after graduating from elementary school for 2 years, and his sister-in-law, Jiang Xiaohong, who graduated from junior high school and became an apprentice. After graduating from vocational school, he was assigned to a wood factory, and Jiang Xiaoyang was undoubtedly a literary and artistic star. The path of this literary and musical star descending to earth was a bit bumpy. Jiang Qi's biological mother, Xiao Huifang, was an accountant at a wood factory and also graduated from a vocational school. She met and married Jiang Xiaoyang on a blind date, making her an enviable model couple. Then the timber factory went bankrupt, and the couple suffered severe layoffs. At that time, Xiao Huifang was still pregnant with Jiang Bing. When the couple was at their poorest, they had to go to their eldest brother's house to borrow rice, their second brother's house to borrow bowls, and their father-in-law's house to borrow coal balls in order to survive. It is said that when Jiang Bing was first born, his family was so poor that they couldn't even make a sound. When Jiang Bing was a child, he didn't have milk powder to drink and could only drink rice paste. Seeing his wife and children live like this, Jiang Xiaoyang gritted his teeth and decided to take a gamble. He found connections with his former colleague and went to Southeast Asia with them to do a timber business. At first, Jiang Xiaoyang worked for his boss. Later, he saved up some money and started working alone, earning a lot of money. Although he didn't grow or become wealthy, he could still be called a little rich. When Jiang Qi was 10 years old, Jiang Xiaoyang wanted to gamble on turning a big bicycle into a motorcycle, but lost the bet and almost went bankrupt. If it weren't for his brothers and sisters pouring all their money to help Jiang Xiaoyang, he would have gone to the rooftop that year. From then on, Jiang Xiaoyang realized that he was honestly doing his own small business to earn good fortune and hard money. When Xiao Huifang saw that her two children were also old, she went to do business with Jiang Xiaoyang. Although Jiang Qi and Jiang Bing have been away from their parents since childhood, they have also been treated unfairly. Jiang Shaokong has transferred his years of care for his younger brother to his nephew and niece. Since childhood, Jiang Xiaohong has admired and cared for Jiang Qi and Jiang Bing the most. Jiang Xiaoguang, like Jiang Xiaoyang, works in the coastal areas all year round and only comes back during the Chinese New Year. Therefore, he always cares about his younger family members and buys and sends back any new things. In addition, Chao Yongjun, the neighbor upstairs of Jiang Qi's family, is an old colleague of Jiang Xiaoyang and his wife, so he naturally takes good care of the siblings. At their peak, the siblings ate 5 meals a day and were often seen by their elders as having no food to eat, dragging them home to eat. Jiang Xiaoyang has a keen eye and saw through early on that housing prices will definitely rise. Not only did I buy a house early, but I also convinced my brothers and sisters to lend them money to buy a house together. As a result, the several families lived very close together. Even if Jiang Qi and Jiang Bing are both old now, my sister-in-law and uncle will habitually send over a portion once they have cooked good food. So now the question is, if old John lives at home, how should he explain it to his relatives? If he rents a single room for old John alone, Jiang Qi is worried that his poor wallet won't be able to handle it. Jiang Qi is caught in a dilemma. Old John may have noticed Jiang Qi's entanglement and said, "I can live anywhere. Sleeping on the street is also good." Jiang Qi. That's not necessary summoning someone out of the card to work for oneself, but not even arranging their place of residence for the 15.60-year-old man to sleep on the street. If he did this, wouldn't he become an unscrupulous capitalist like Jiang Bing who is solely focused on squeezing employees? Let's stay at my house for now. It's really not possible to find a cheap single room to rent in the community, and negotiate the price. It can be affordable for 300 to 400 yuan per month in a short period of time. If money is given for all the subsequent tasks in the game, it is not impossible to support a big living person. The community where Jiang Qi's family is located has been around for some time, and there is no bustling commercial district nearby. All the facilities are relatively old, and there is only one primary school nearby, so the rent has always been very cheap. After planning, Jiang Qi stood up and led old John to the store to see his future work environment. A shop with a total area of nearly 400 square meters on the upper and lower floors requires a considerable amount of work if carefully cleaned. Jiang Qi led old John to the store, but there was still only Lu Lan in the store. When Jiang Qi arrived, Lu Lan wanted to ask him why he had suddenly run out before, but he was stunned when he saw old John behind Jiang Qi. "Is this the guest who came to play with the book?" Lu Lan asked uncertain, "Hello." Jiang Qi pretended to be foolish and said, "He came to our store to apply for cleaning. His name is John and his Chinese is very good. She is Lu Lan, also our store clerk." Jiang Qi introduced Lu Lan to old John. Old John nodded at Lu Lan. "Lu Lan. Is the store wealthy enough to hire a dedicated cleaning staff? But why is he a foreigner?" Just as Lu Lan's face was full of doubts, old John had already found cleaning tools and started cleaning the shop, demonstrating his profession and professionalism through his actions. "He is a foreign teacher in my university. He just resigned and started working in the arts. He used to be a mentor at a drama club, so I am very familiar with it. He is very good at Chinese and likes to clean up for inspiration. Recently, he came to our city to pick up some fresh air, so he also applied to work as a janitor." Jiang Qi had already thought of a lie on his way back to the store. Very professional, he has been using this method to find inspiration for decades. Lu Lan, who is also studying art, was greatly shocked. Before Lu Lan could react much, Jiang Qi quickly changed the topic and said, "I remember you mentioned before that a car of guests had scheduled a night's mask club next Monday." "Yes," Lu Lan nodded. I have almost finished reading Little John's book, and I have also read a bit of the host's manual. I estimate that I can finish reading all the books today. You said before that I was supposed to perform the performance. What did you say? Oh, just play the memory card. Speaking of the main matter, Lu Lan had no time to think about how a university teacher could have such a strange hobby of being a janitor. If we were to open a deductive version, we wouldn't need to send all those memory cards to the players. Just like John's 6 cards, except for the last one with the largest news of old John's death, the rest can be changed to have a better deductive effect. That's right. Jiang Qi was lost in thought. Now that the real old John had been summoned by him, it would be a waste not to let him play his true role. It's like this, Teacher John has been struggling to find inspiration lately. He has been sweeping the streets for several months without any use. He used to like to play some roles to help him find inspiration when he was in our drama club. He came to our store to apply for cleaning jobs, and I heard that the script killing store can act. Coincidentally, the role of old John is not very suitable for him. As a foreigner and of a suitable age, why don't I discuss with him and let him try playing old John to help him find inspiration? Lu Lan followed Jiang Qi's words and looked at old John, his eyes becoming brighter as he looked at them. Excitedly, he said, "Really? Jiang Qi, I also think what you said is particularly suitable." Lu Lan stared at old John with a gleam in his eyes and said, "If this can be played out, the player who took John's book will have to cry to death. Oh my God, it's so satisfying to think about it. Jiang Qi. What kind of bad taste are you having?" Chapter 9. Placement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Lan went to study and interpret the lines with great energy, while Jiang Qi shook his head and said he didn't understand the current migrant worker. He then went on to read the script. In order to receive a reward of 500 yuan for the mission and also for the promotion of the card star, he needs to thoroughly study the script, especially for all the parts where old John appears, and prescribe the right medicine to find a way to promote the card star. Jiang Qi went upstairs and spent an hour reading all 6 character scripts and a host manual for Mask Club. The core of the story is actually very simple. The Mask Club is a place similar to the 8th pawn shop, where the club accepts all trades, but needs to use the most precious things on the trader's body. Mina is also a character, whose real name is a haggard short-haired woman, the one John saw when he first entered the banquet hall. John used to be addicted to drugs and alcohol, and his health was in short supply. In this situation, Mina received an invitation from the club for the first time. Mina learned in the club that all of John's misery came from his former boss, the unnamed villain who was killed by John. John's former boss came to the club many years ago and exchanged his conscience for a promotion and salary increase opportunity. Later, before the failure of the new drug development, the boss came to the club again and exchanged his family affection for framing John, asking him to take responsibility for himself. After John was released from prison, he started his own business. His former boss was afraid that John would succeed, so he came to the club for the 3rd time and used his talent and happiness to exchange for John's new company, which suffered a major blow. The essence of Mask Club is that people who have made a transaction can come back to trade at any time, and continuous trading will constantly unleash adult greed and ultimately lead to destruction. Mina, who is joining the club for the first time, wants to save John and make him healthy and energetic. After evaluation, the club believed that the most precious thing about Mina was the precious emotions between her and John, but emotions were not enough to exchange them. Therefore, Mina added her own appearance and family background, and exchanged beauty, love, and money for John's new life. Mina lost her love and memory for John, and forever lost her love. She became an ordinary-looking woman who was expelled from her family by her father and lived a miserable life. Jiang Qi didn't notice in the first act that the tragic woman who seemed to have been abandoned by the world was actually Mina. In the first 2 acts, Mina's main role was to explain the Mask Club to other players. After all, among the 7 guests this time, except for the former boss who was destined to become the deceased, Mina was the only one who knew about the mask club. At the end of the first act of Minamoto, the desperate woman once again received an invitation from Mask Club. She knew she had been here before, but didn't remember what she had done here. With nothing, she ultimately chose to come back to this place of trading with the devil. Mina is not what Jiang Qi initially thought of as a pure romantic minded by Fume. On the contrary, her childhood was even as miserable as John's. In her memories, her mother passed away early, and all the beautiful memories of her childhood came from her mother. Her father prioritized sons over daughters, and all his thoughts were focused on a few illegitimate and stepmother's sons. Although she had no worries about food and clothing since childhood and no one truly abused her, she never received any emotional reward. When Mina was in her teens, she fell into depravity and indulged in alcohol, drug abuse, and car racing. When she needed the advice of her elders the most, no one cared about her, and even her father gave her a lot of money to indulge her, as if he wanted her to die like this. Later, Mina realized on her own that no one cared about her. With her good family background, she attended prestigious schools, worked in large corporations, and had many boyfriends until she met John, whom she thought was very similar to her. Mina worked so hard to save the fallen John not only because she loved him, but also because she felt like she was saving the fallen self of the past. She saw too many similarities with herself in John, and while she was doing her best to save John, she was also doing her best to save herself. The other four people's stories are all separate storylines, with little intersection between them. Their routines are similar, and they are all people who are at the end of their lives and have little hope. Jiang Qi thinks the most interesting aspect of this book is the final mechanism, where the 6 players need to face choices after everything is revealed. John has a variety of options, he can exchange what he wants, and the club will evaluate what other exchanges he can offer. He can also choose to return Mina's exchange to the club, which allows him to choose 2 things from love, appearance, and family background to return to Mina. After reading all the stories, Jiang Qi roughly understood why Lu Lan said there was no meaning in this without a performance. All the highlights and reversals in this book are mainly focused on the player's experience of testing and recalling the mechanism of things forgotten earlier. The text on the card, no matter how intricate or rich, is not as impactful as a real person's performance in front of the player. As long as the sound and lighting are in place, the acting skills are not so awkward. Even if you don't show your face much and hide behind the screen, using sound to perform is better than just looking at the text. As the backbone of the drama club, Jiang Qi is a professional in flowers, plants, trees, pedestrians, and occasionally works part-time as an amateur venue manager for lighting and props. He also relies on him for the performance part. It's time to showcase the high-end performance skills learned in the drama club over the years. Just as Jiang Qi was full of ambition and preparing to show off his skills, old John walked down the stairs with a cleaning tool and said, "It's done cleaning. Can we finish work now?" As the boss who provides food and accommodation but does not pay any wages, Jiang Qi symbolically checked old John's work achievements. Very amazing. Old John is truly a professional cleaner with decades of experience. The deep cleaning of an entire store was completed in less than 3 hours. Not only did he keep the store clean as new, but he also tidied up the clutter room that was originally filled with miscellaneous items and express paper boxes. Such an impressive success left Jiang Qi, who was exhausted from school inspections and dormitory sanitation during his college years, stunned. Another person who was stunned was Lu Lan. From her surprised expression, Jiang Qi could tell that the hygiene environment in their dormitory was also very shocking. Lan, we have something to do. Jiang Qi still needs to take old John to buy clothes to change, and the cheap shops on the street will close later. Oh, good. Lan was sitting at the front desk eating noodles, her mouth full of noodles, and she nodded vaguely. She swallowed a large mouthful of noodles and shouted at Jiang Qi, who walked out of the store with one foot. "Come early tomorrow afternoon, let's perform in a row." "Got it." Chapter 10. Renting a House. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Due to his limited budget, Jiang Qi could only buy a few cheap sets of change clothes for old John, instantly transforming him into a simple old cleaner who looked somewhat elite in a suit. As stated in the card details, old John is a person with extremely low material desires, and many things are fine for him. He himself doesn't even mind sleeping on the street, which is very easy to support. Old John didn't make any requests throughout the shopping process. After Jiang Qi led him home, he didn't make any comments on the room, and it was unusually quiet when he entered. In just one day, Jiang Qi experienced being pulled into the world of script killing, activating the game, summoning card characters, a major event that can be completed in just 2 chapters of a normal novel. When he returned home, he was naturally exhausted. After a simple wash, he returned to his room and fell asleep without even reading his phone messages. I had no dreams all night. The next day, what woke Jiang Qi up was not the phone alarm clock, something that had left his life forever since the end of the postgraduate entrance examination, but the cheerful laughter of his sister.In.Law. Jiang Qi's sister.In.Law, Jiang Xiaohong, discovered her talent as a salesperson during her apprenticeship in the early years and switched to a furniture city as a salesperson. Later, she saved up some savings and opened her own small clothing store. Several of Jiang Xiaohong's previous sales colleagues were from the north, which caused her accent to become a mix of north and south. Years of sales experience allowed her to develop a piercing and hearty laughter. Even across the street, passers-by could hear Ms. Jiang Xiaohong's Wang's laughter, which could be heard before her lips could smile. Ha ha ha, you said the dumplings you ate before were all filled with garlic. How could there be dumplings filled with garlic? The taste of the people there is really. Jiang Qi's burst of the door interrupted his sister.In.Law's cheerful laughter. Auntie, why did you come? Without saying anything in advance, I overslept. Jiang Qi was a bit confused when he saw the scene in front of him. Old John sat at the dining table, wearing the cheap shirt he bought at the night market at 29.9 last night. He was holding chopsticks in his hand, feeling a bit awkward, and was using them as forks to vigorously poke the dumplings on the plate. Jiang Qi took a deep breath, filled with leaks. I'm going to your second uncle's house to clean up and come over to bring you some dumplings. It's not like I'm talking about you. You and Xiaobing are as good as each other and don't sleep at night or wake up in the morning. Isn't there still a guest at home? I'll come out like this without combing my hair. Jiang Xiaohong smiled and urged Jiang Qi to quickly enter the house and make himself look like a human before coming out. After finishing speaking, he turned his head and smiled at old John, saying, Xiaoqi, this child has been reckless since childhood. Don't take it for granted. Jiang Qi quickly changed his clothes and without a mirror, he pulled his hair twice at the black screen of his phone, making sure he met Jiang Xiaohong's standards before breaking through the door again. Before Jiang Qi could even speak, Jiang Xiaohong spoke up and said, Xiaoqi, you too. Even if the school teachers come to stay at home, they won't tell us elders, otherwise I wouldn't have brought only this little dumpling. Jiang Qi followed Jiang Xiaohong's words and looked at the dining table, one bowl at a time, all empty. The bowl is a large iron bowl used for making dumplings and filling, and there is still a faint amount of flour inside. The dumplings must have been frozen in the refrigerator. The bowl is a big bowl for noodles in soup in the noodle shop outside. There is still some soup left at the bottom. All the dumplings in the bowl are in the plate on the table. It's a plate and a half. Old John is eating it. It's only enough for 2 people to eat for 3 days, which fits Jiang Xiaohong's definition of point. Isn't this a sudden incident? And Teacher John is just temporarily staying, so I didn't say anything, Jiang Qi sneered. Fortunately, he had pre-arranged the identity and background of old John, otherwise he would have exposed it today. Yes, just now you asked the teacher to help him find a house. With dim sum, It's not easy for them to ask the teacher to come all the way here to collect wind. Jiang Qi could only nod repeatedly and say, I'm looking, I'm looking. Jiang Xiaohong nodded with satisfaction and looked at the tightly closed door of Jiang Bing's room, asking, Bing Bing hasn't woken up yet. Did she stay up late to work again last night? Xiaoqi, you also need to talk about your sister. Staying up late every day has dark circles under her eyes, which are heavier than pandas. How can her body tolerate this? I heard she has opened a new store again, and what kind of drama does it kill? When Luo, Jiang Xiaohong's son, has been arguing to go play. When he's off, I'll let him take his classmates to your sister's store to play. My sister has gone abroad and is not at home, Jiang Qi explained. Did you go out again? Did the restaurant leave it to you again? I have to talk to her when she comes back. She's in her 20s and still does things like this. Realizing that she shouldn't say this in front of outsiders, Jiang Xiaohong immediately stopped talking and smiled at old John. Teacher Yu, I'll leave first. If you like dumplings, tell Jiang Qi and let him tell me how many flavors I'll make for you. The cabbage filling is also delicious. Old John pretended to be not very good at Chinese and nodded silently, watching Jiang Xiaohong leave. That was my sister. Law Jiang Xiaohong just now. Her personality is like this, she is very enthusiastic, and you probably will see her frequently in the future. Jiang Qi said, I didn't mention it earlier. Old John poked a dumpling and took a few bites to swallow, saying, I was sitting on the sofa preparing to watch TV, and she came in with a basin and asked who I was. I said I am your university teacher, coming here to gather some fresh air, looking for a house to temporarily stay. Jiang Qi breathed a sigh of relief and said these were enough. Jiang Xiaohong is best at speaking through pictures, and having this information is enough for her to brainstorm a complete story. Since the family already knows about old John's existence, the search for a house cannot be delayed for too long. Jiang Qi needs to find a house that is best located in the community, with a cheap price, simple decoration, and can be rented for a short period of time. Thinking this way, Jiang Qi went back to his room and took his phone to search for rental information online. The WeChat message is still 99+, and Jiang Qi glanced casually. The top one is a dormitory group message called 401 Shore Alliance. 2 roommates who have successfully landed are roast about their boss in the group. The word Xiao Zhang and Xiao Lu appear most frequently. What they know is their boss, but what they don't know is their employees. Another roommate, Yu Fang, sent him a private message, and when Jiang Qi clicked on it, he found it to be a string of emojis. Remaining. Light cigarette. JPG, Yu Fang. What should I do, Cheesy? I might be beaten to death by my father. Remaining. Melancholy. As a wealthy second generation, Yu Fang's greatest hobby is to call people what they want to be and how they like to be fathers. Choose one of their surnames and first names to call them. Jiang Qi and his 4 roommates are named Jiang Qi, Yu Fang, Wang Zhua, and Zhanren respectively. Unfortunately, they all have limited options for 2-character names. Yu Fang referred to his roommates as Cheesy, Zhuazi, Renzi, and Sun, with the last term often accompanied by a violent beating. Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi. No, I don't think so. I remember you said last time your dad killed you, it was playing with fire when you were a child and almost set fire to your home. Jiang Qi. Did you order your home? As a national first-class online surfer, Yu Fang almost returns in seconds. Yu Fang. It would be easy if I ordered my home. Remaining image. Image, Yu Fang. I am about to start a business failure and lose everything. Jiang Qi in front of the phone. Isn't this very normal? The small matter of starting a business in his family and losing everything is not even worthy of appearing at the pre-dinner criticism and chat conference. Jiang Qi. It's just a failed startup, isn't it okay, Yu Fang? My dad gave me 2 million. Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi glanced at the calendar and realized that it's not yet July. They submitted their graduation thesis at the end of March and left school in early April for defense. Jiang Qi. It's hopeless. Let's wait until we die. Jiang Qi. Remember to call me when you eat at the banquet. Jiang Qi silently put down his phone, unwilling to communicate with such a wicked wealthy person. After a series of ineffective searches and online surfing, Jiang Qi finally remembered that there seemed to be a rental agency right at the entrance of the community. So Jiang Qi decisively took his phone downstairs, and when he walked to the entrance of the community, he saw his neighbor Chao Yongjun upstairs pasting a small advertisement. I am not proficient in pasting it yet. I have brushed the glue advertisement 3 times but still haven't pasted it. Chao Bo, isn't this glue too good? Jiang Qi couldn't help but approach and ask. It shouldn't be, isn't it just 2 years overdue? Chao Yongjun looked at me with a puzzled expression. Chao Yongjun is considered a celebrity in the Jiangxi community, and his son Chao Wenyang is the public enemy of all children in the community from childhood to adulthood, the child of an epic family. Chao Wenyang, as the god of learning, has been a legend since childhood. He only achieved first place in exams and was the top scorer in the middle school entrance examination and the top scorer in the college entrance examination. He was 6 years older than Jiang Qi, and his high school homeroom teacher happened to be Jiang Qi's high school homeroom teacher. It can be said that Jiang Qi has been shrouded in the legend of Chao Wenyang's learning god since childhood. Jiang Qi looked at the advertisement and saw that the house was for rent. Uncle Chao, are you moving out? Jiang Qi remembered the rumors he had heard earlier this year. Did Chao Wenyang buy a house in the capital? Yeah, Chao Yongjun said happily, Wenyang is a filial child. Isn't it that I have a bad heart? He contacted experts from the capital hospital through connections and asked me to stay there for convenient treatment. Does Aunt Qian, Chao Yongjun's wife, also go together? She went last week and has been urging me to go quickly. I just want to wait until I rent out the house before leaving, such a big house is wasted. Jiang Qi remembered that the layout of Chao Wenyang's house was the same as his. After carefully examining the rental content, he found that the appliances were complete, there were 4 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, and he moved in with his bag. The monthly rent was 1,800 yuan. It's quite cheap, but I can't afford to rent it. Seeing Jiang Qi staring at the small advertisement, Chao Yongjun's eyes lit up and he asked, Xiaoqi, do you have any friends who want to rent a house? Jiang Qi nodded and said, my university teacher wants to rent a room for a short period of time. He is currently in my house, but he can't live alone. Upon hearing that he was a university teacher, Chao Yongjun became mentally alert and quickly said, a university teacher. Can a person only rent one single room? Hello university teacher, your Aunt Chao is just worried that tenants won't take care of the house and won't let me rent it. As a university teacher, we can rest assured. But only renting the remaining room. Can we not rent out the rest? As long as there are people living in the house and it's a bit popular, Uncle Chao, I just don't want the house to be empty and wasted. Your teacher is right at your home, right? It's just right. Let's take him up to see the house now.